that's outside of 50 feet away from an adjoining neighbor, either across the alley or next door. Unfortunately, I live on a corner, so I have a street on the other side, so nobody's living in the street unless it's a homeless person. Then I could probably have a problem anyway. But the point being is we can't let people have an outdoor grow that's going to, if it's going to be within 50 foot of somebody's existing dwelling. I think that's the reality you're going to have to deal with.
Well, my problem right now, because you raised it to 1,000 feet instead of 500 feet, I can't grow.
Well, that's of a park or a daycare.
Yes, and we have a Head Start, and we have a park in Levitt Lake.
Okay.
I am a little over 500 feet away from them, which was what the law was. Now you've made it 1,000 feet. Now, or if you make it 1,000, because, well, you did 1,000 feet. Half of Levitt Lake is out of growing. There are, quite a few that do grow. A lot of people haven't showed up to this meeting, and I don't understand why. We put it on Facebook in order to get the word out, and I don't know. I did put on Facebook, I went to every single city meeting and county meeting. Normally, the medical marijuana hits the end of it's the last discussion. Today, you had it before the last discussion.
It's our main discussion.
Well, but I'm normally here from 9 in the morning until, 2:30, 3 o'clock. Last time I had to go pick up my grandson. When I came back, the meeting was done. I don't generally come up and speak. I'm not a speaker. But I would like to be able to grow.
You're speaking very good.
Well, once I get started, I guess,
okay.
The 1,000 feet is going to stop me from growing. I think the 500 foot was reasonable. The 6 plants is fine. I don't care. I would like to grow something outside. I can't do it physically. I'm unable to do it in the house, and I can't afford to buy a building. I can't.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Owner, so do I understand your request to be twofold? One, to reduce the exclusion zone from 1,000 feet down to 500 within proximity to any school, park, or daycare facility.
Yes.
And secondly, the conditions of cultivation provision, which, as proposed, would not permit outdoor growing on parcels of less than 1 acre in size, be changed to permit 6 plants for those parcels to be grown outdoors?
Yes.
Okay.
Some people they can still grow inside. People that are growing inside, fine. I can't grow inside. I need to do it outside.
I just wanted to make sure I understood your request. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ken David?
Good morning. Part of this is I've discussed, had a conversation with Jeff. I'm the one who created the website out there just to get the word out to the people. We got quite a bit of response, feedbacks, and everything. Excuse me. And the basic thing is just what we've proposed here. Just a 6-plant grow. The proposed setback would be allowable. I also live out at Levitt Lake, and Sharon will be my provider. I will get 3 of those 6 plants. I live right next to the park, so that counts me out, period. I was growing over to Annie Westerbeck's property, which I'm sure you all know who she is, last year, and all I had was 6 plants. Like I said, the 99 plants, that's out. There's no reason for it. Just to grow in the inner part of the county with the residential housing, the main thing is the indoor grow would just be way too costly. Possible fire risks. Basically, it's $3,000 to $5,000. I did the homework to see what it would cost to build 2 grow rooms, a flowering room and a vegetation room, which you would be required. And the cost is just exceeding. The main thing is, just like we stated at the early part of the meeting, a lot of this is just a proposal, but we can alter it. So all I ask is, let's try the 6 plants, 500-foot setback. We get complaints, let's have a meeting again and alter it. I mean, that's what government's here for, right? So, that's all I gotta say. I had a thing I was gonna read to you, but most of it is basically the same stuff you've heard over and over. These patients are either gonna be on heavy prescription pills or they get their medicine. We don't get to grow, we don't get our medicine. The prescription pills, just keep us down, keep us sick. I've been fighting cancer for over 2 years now, and it's not fun. Yeah, the main thing is I figure some of the people here need a voice, and I'm here to voice it out. Yeah, and I appreciate you guys' time, the effort that's gone into this, and all your. There's just been an extreme thing, and I appreciate every bit of it because it's a movement towards. The thing is there's a lot of people saying you guys can't do what you're doing. There's other oppositions. Now, I don't know what's right and what's wrong. Like I said, I'm just trying to comply with the county and the city ordinances and stuff, and have our allowable amount of medicine here. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Carol.
Carol Byers. I just wanted to share, Colorado's already having trouble. And we talked about this if it's a done deal. And apparently, in the state of Colorado, only 21 out of their 64 counties voted to have the marijuana legalized. The rest only allows medical marijuana or has completely banned the sale altogether. Also, 18 of those 21 counties that do now allow it are blue counties as of the 2012 presidential election. We're not a blue county here in Lassen County. I don't think we should probably vote to have it legal. At most, just legalize the marijuana. And I just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay, thank you, Carol. Sir, did you have your name? I want to give your name to
Steve Mankins. My concern over it is that, correct me if I'm wrong, but the property owner has to register that he's aware that this is being grown on his property. That's part of the ordinance.
Yes.
Okay.
If you have a non-resident property owner.
If I'm renting a piece of property
Yes.
from somebody that says I can grow, okay. You also,
Yes.
in the ordinance, does it not explain that it is still against federal law?
I believe there's a reference in there. Yes.
Okay. Fifth Amendment. If somebody allows for someone to grow on their property, they have to sign something saying they're aware of the fact they're committing federal law or violation of federal law. The end result is the federal government can confiscate the property under existing law. I put a call in a couple of weeks ago to the ACLU on this particular issue. They got back to me yesterday. They're reviewing the city's and the county's ordinances to try to give some direction from their perspective as how this works with the Fifth Amendment. I don't think they're considering, at least I haven't heard that they're considering a lawsuit yet, but it is not an ordinance yet. Okay. But that is something I think that we really need to look at. We're putting property owners in danger of losing their property, and we're limiting their Fifth Amendment rights. I kind of consider that to be fairly important.
I want to make sure I wait until you're finished.
Go ahead.
Well, I don't accept the premise of the argument, and that is that we're limiting their Fifth Amendment rights. It's quite plausible that the landlord says, I don't give consent. And we've done nothing to force them to agree. We've simply
Only if they
said,
allow the growth.
correct. We've simply said that if cultivation's to occur on parcels by a tenant resident, essentially, that we want to make sure that the landowner is also consenting to that for purposes of the enforcement provisions, because one of the principal enforcement provisions is through the administrative process. And under the government code, that permits liens on real property, and that is the reason that is included. So,
I'd say if a person owns a piece of land, they don't have a question of whether or not a person is going to grow there. Can the landlord not, of his own accord, say, I don't allow this on my property? They can say, you can't have dogs, you can't smoke in the house, you can't. So I don't understand how that's really a level of protection. And I do think that you should take it seriously what comes from the ACLU. They're smart people, they know what they're doing. At least for some direction, and this seems to be the main concern over the ordinance. Also, the thing on limiting the amount of plants, the health and safety codes that came out of 420 limited the amount of plants to 12 immature or 6 mature. The state Supreme Court came back striking that part of 420 down, saying that basically it's between the doctor and the patient. So it kind of seems like there's language in this that is contrary to what the Supreme Court has already decided. That would be something that I would look at and consider. Now, when you go online and research this stuff, as I've been doing, a lot of the organizations in favor of medical marijuana in California, even though the state Supreme Court has made that the decision on the amount, they still advise that people stay within those parameters. But it is a matter of law that the Supreme Court has decided on this, and I think if you haven't looked at that, that would be something to look at. And be interesting to see what happens when the ACLU weighs in and what is going on with it. Also, you're going to be facing 2 years from now decriminalization as far as recreation is concerned. That's going to bring up a whole new set of ordinances and a whole new set of problems. Once it becomes totally legal,
Who knows?
There yet.
Who can not
you'll cross that bridge when you
I'm
come
not
to it.
going to wait for maybe further legislation to determine what I do today. Who knows what
Oh,
that
I'm sure.
will be? I mean, just like the legislation out there now, there's exceptions for counties to make their own, rules on zoning and land use policy and so on. I mean, that's kind of a window open for local government. This may be the same thing.
and Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes, sir.
thank you. I have a couple of responses, if you permit me. Number one is on the plant count limitations expressed in SB 420, which is adopted, I think, in 2001 or 2002. That was the legislature's legislative effort to try and further define, if you will, Prop 215. I think they at least entered into it with a kind of effort to help, if you will. Regrettably, in People versus Kelly, the California Supreme Court case that you referenced, although not by name, our 9 justices opined that the legislature may not do by legislative enactment that which the people did not in 215, and that is to circumscribe the number of plants that one could reasonably cultivate or reasonably need for their medical purposes under 215. That was the essence of that holding. And it is valid then and it is valid now. But take that and set that aside from the power of local government under its well-established police power, and this remains, I won't say unchallenged, but it has sustained the challenges of litigants that have tried to advocate on that very point, and it stands today.
In other communities and counties?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I understand it, but it's still in my community, in my county.
Understood.
And that's what I'm kind of...
This body retains its authority to impose reasonable regulations related to plant counts for the purpose of impacting or dealing with the impacts of cultivation on its citizens, the nuisance type impacts that we've been talking about. I know nuisance has a kind of inflammatory context or connotation to it. I understand. That's the language that they use in the legislation and the legal authority for it. It's well established this board retains that authority. I don't know if that answered your question, but
Not entirely. One thing I've noticed about the whole discussion is not a whole lot of discussion on the people that require this medication. The medical part of it seems to, those rights seem to disappear in the language of how many plants and setbacks and so on.
That we've
And
put an enormous amount of time and effort into this, staff time and our time,
Okay.
to resolve this, and it's a question of, we'll never satisfy everybody.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know,
If I may, I think this board's been very clear from the very beginning when we had the study session down. I think you were there, if I recall correctly, down at the Veterans Hall. It was well attended. There were a lot of folks, and it was clear from the beginning that this board wanted to strike the balance between people that had a legitimate medical need, that wanted to use marijuana to alleviate those symptoms, effects, the like, and folks who didn't subscribe to that and wanted to be free from the impacts of cultivation by those folks that did need it. And that's the balance that's trying to be struck here. And it's not perfect by any stretch. But there was, and so I don't accept the premise, at least from council's position, that this board has kind of been marching along not respecting the rights of those that need it medically. Because I think in every hearing, it's been recognized. Every single hearing that we've had. And there have been a number, probably half a dozen or so, since that, I think, November study session. But more to the point, there was another, I saw a letter to the editor recently, or maybe some comments, and I don't know if it was you or not, I don't care. There was an argument that was made that, well, gosh, if you're going to regulate marijuana, well, why don't we also regulate alcohol and tobacco? And that argument was made. Well, we do.
And firearms.
Thank you. We do. We do. Let me give you an example. Alcohol is limited to purchase by persons only over 21 years of age. You can't drink in public, generally speaking. You can't drink in cars. The amount of alcohol you consume before you operate a motor vehicle is limited by law. Tobacco. You can't smoke within 15 feet of a building. For what reason? So that you don't impact by nuisance the people that are in the building. That minors aren't permitted to get access to tobacco. You can't smoke in a bar or in a restaurant. So the argument that was advanced...
You misunderstood my argument.
Oh, okay, then I apologize.
My argument was that we don't have police coming in and inspecting the liquor cabinets for children to get to them. I lived in Westwood. Some kid in Westwood got some pills from his grandmother, got into the kids in the high school. One kid came to real close to dying. His heart stopped a couple times. The grandmother that had left the pills in the medicine cabinet was not to blame, but using the same logic, we could make them put locks on medicine cabinets. And anybody with prescription drugs have to register every year. I just don't. I think it's a little heavy.
If I could comment on that.
Sure.
See, we're not proposing by this ordinance of going into somebody's house and messing with the plants, kind of like you talking, making the analogy, okay? I think what Mr. Burns is trying to say is that this board long ago moved away from this idea of enforcing federal law, and that despite what was adopted at the state level and so forth, and there's a full recognition that medical marijuana is something that is here and is here to stay, and there's a role that it plays and so forth. So there's a seat at the table, and there's legitimacy, at least within the state of California, for that action, irrespective of what the Fed said. The Fed said they're not going to mess with it unless it's over 100 plants. And then all of a sudden, the 6-plant rules and the other rules that were in place ballooned to 99 because the Fed said 100, so 99 is legitimate. what we're really dealing with is in terms of a land use issue, in terms of everybody is in the sandbox. You guys are in the sandbox now. And so how do we play nice in the sandbox? Whether it's alcohol or whether it's all these other things, tobacco, I mean, the other things that people utilize, that they feel they have a right and an expectation, to live under our constitutional and Declaration of Independence, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is your pursuit of happiness. And we're going to accommodate that pursuit of happiness to the greatest extent possible, as long as it's not impacting other people's pursuit of happiness. And that's the issue this board has to struggle with. So the reason why we say you can't have something within 500 feet or 50 feet or 1,000 feet is to try to create, the zones within that sandbox so that you could pursue your bit of happiness without impacting others, and others can't, their activities can't, vice versa. It's a two-way street. That's the reason why if we're going to have a rule that says you can't put a marijuana a plant operation within 1,000 feet of a daycare facility, and you're up and going, and you've got all your buffers, and you're doing a good job, and you're trucking along, and you're taking care of your people and whatever, and then the daycare moves in next to you and says, "I'm sorry, but you're within 1,000 feet, so you're out." That's where we're trying to establish those sandbox rules, is to make it so that you can exist within that same environment that everybody else is existing.
I guess I see it as pursuit of well-being, not a pursuit of happiness.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying though, but where does your well-being trump everybody else's well-being? And that's the point is, you've got to understand that you're just one of 1,000 well-beings out there that we're trying to make everybody get along and live with. I mean, in my location, if my neighbor was to all of a sudden, under these rules, establish, 6 plants or 12 plants, whatever is allowed, at less than 50 feet from my bedroom window, and it's now creating an upset for my well-being, okay? And that was the issue we had up at Lake Forest. That was where those people up there. So not you, and not maybe 99% of the people in the room here, you guys want to, play nice and be in the sandbox and do whatever, but there's always somebody out there who's going to push the rules. These are really designed to deal with those folks who come in and are opportunistic. They upset the apple cart, they grab their stuff and leave, and then they leave the effects for us to have to deal with and clean up. That's the reason why we're here today. Okay, so what we want to do is have something. Now, it's unfortunate, we've had probably half a dozen meetings leading up to this discussion. We've had a room full of people who have participated. I've been amazed at the give and take. I've been amazed at the changes that this board has made in terms of where we started out, saying, well, we should have these lines, and trying to establish those sandbox rules, and how that has evolved over the last several weeks and months to where we are today. I mean, if I would have thought back in November that we'd have anything close to this here, I would say, yeah, you're smoking Steve stuff. But, but anyway, but the point being is that, is that we are seeing a lot of give and take. And I've been amused by county council and the animation that he has in terms of engaging the general public. I've never seen that in 40 years sitting on the board, in terms of that kind of interaction. And it's been very healthy and it's been very productive. So I think we've come a huge distance.
I think that it's like my proposal today. I hate it when the government passes legislation that makes me break the law. And I understand that there's people like you out there that need the medicine. You need to grow it. And that's why I propose the 6 plants outdoors today.
Okay, let's get some more of that. You've had your time.
Thank you for your time, and I would encourage you to look at what comes from the ACLU. They're not just blowing smoke. Maybe it's some.
I'm not going to make my decision by this.
It's not a matter of
Well, it's whatever you want to call it.
okay.
Anybody else in the public wish to speak? I see several people come in here after we got started. So let's see. Anybody who wishes to speak, now is your chance. Seeing none,
I'd be happy to come up and speak. I didn't fill out a paper though, but.
just state your name when you're ready.
Yes, I'm Roman Runke. I'm one of the people who is affected by this because I'm a patient here. But I would just, my only concern, I know everybody here, is that, there might be aspects of this that are either unenforceable or that have become legal as of December or will become illegal later. So, I would just, this is, the country is kind of trying to deal with and prepare for legalization. And I would just, I'm concerned, for everybody as well. I've been growing here for 7 years and not had, really any problems, but on a very small scale. Helped several cancer victims that, were at stage 4 cancer, and now they don't have cancer anymore. So, the medical efficacy of the plant is now, being more established. I'm still around. I'm not supposed to be here. So, anyways, thank you for your time, and I hope that you all understand that you may have a decision that is going to need flexibility in the future.
Okay.
So, and just those couple of points that, there may be an issue right now of enforceability in part of this, and I know that you guys have looked at that really close, but I think it just as a helpful community voice.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
I don't know if I gotta say my name, but I live here in town, and please, I'll say my first name, David. But I live here in town, and we have 12 plants. And I'm speaking for my mom. She lives in the county, and us having 12 plants, I mean, that's, here when it goes legal, 12 plants is gonna be able to be in my backyard, no matter what, at all times. Limiting somebody because of the housing, I'm 15 feet off a fence. I can go 15 feet exactly off that fence line. My mom lives in a housing community, say it should be legal as town. Not some idiot I hear some idiot in or where is it? Lake Forest. I have a script for 99 plants. I don't even grow that many. I mean, it was pretty pathetic what he did. You just can't take it away from people. Once it goes legal, you guys are done. Then you're going to have to bring it up to somebody else besides your little thing. I mean, 12 plants for Levitt Lake, for anywhere, is legit. That's all I got to say. I mean, what else is there? I have a 99 plant script, but I don't grow 99. I got to keep 99 because I have clones I have. I can't even do that right now. But limiting people and taking them away is going to cause a lot of chaos. I mean, you're going to have more dealings with the task force than anything, and the task force ain't even around, is what I heard. So, taking it away from people that pay for it. I mean, I'm stuck having to pay $100 to grow in town, and I think that's stupid because I got to pay for my 215 card. So don't take it away from anybody that's in the county. Take it away from the people that are over in abundance. I mean, you can't. State law is 12. You look at it that way. State law is 12, no matter what. So don't take it away from them.
Anybody else? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. What's the pleasure, you guys?
Well, another thing I want to make, kind of goes back to what June was saying as far as the rights of the medical marijuana. When does that, say there's a grow and they no longer grow, what's the time frame before a daycare center can move into where that old grow was? I mean, is that in here? I mean, is there an established
Pre-existing condition.
Yeah.
I know we talked about that last time. And I just think and I didn't see it in here, but I think
It is. It's page 6E.
6E.
Yes. That's the exclusion zone that basically says the outdoor cultivation of marijuana, and it relates to outdoor cultivation only. All right? But the outdoor cultivation of marijuana basically within 1,000 feet of a school, daycare provider, and public park is essentially, that's a no-grow zone. But The provision does not apply, and no abatement shall occur for any marijuana being cultivated within 1,000 feet of and it currently says licensed daycare facility, but I think the suggestion is to change that to licensed daycare provider, school, and public park. When such school, public park, and licensed daycare provider, now, see, this is defined as establishes licensure from the state of California subsequent to the first full outdoor growing season and harvest